Have you ever caught yourself thinking, who even am I anymore? Maybe it was in a rare moment of silence when you weren't rushing between responsibilities. Or maybe it was in the middle of chaos, when you realized that you were handling everything, being everything for everyone, but somehow you felt like you're a blurry afterthought. That moment of realization can be disorienting and frustrating. And if we're being honest, it can be a little scary too. Hi there. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Parenthood and Relationship Podcast. I'm your host, Markella Kaplani, a psychologist, a parenthood and relationship coach, and a parent myself. Together, we explore the transformative journey of parenthood and its profound impact on our relationship with ourselves, our partners, and our children, so that we can be present and show up as we envision without having to do more. Let's get into today's episode. There are 2 other episodes in this series. In episode 47, we explored that moment of realization of having lost yourself, so you might want to go back and listen to that. In the previous episode, episode 48, we talked about the loneliness of parenthood and how feeling unseen and disconnected makes it even harder to reclaim ourselves. But today, we're moving beyond recognition. Because while awareness is the first step, it's not the only one. The question is, where do we go from here? How do we stop seeing ourselves as the before version of us, something that we lost, something to recover, and instead find a way to consciously shape who we are becoming? Because here's the truth, you're not the same person you were before kids, and you're not supposed to be. Parenthood isn't just an identity shift, it's an opportunity to expand, to integrate, and to design a self that fits who you are now. So in this episode, we're going to do exactly that. We'll talk about how to decide what parts of your past identity you would like to keep and what to let go. We'll recognize the strengths, the skills, the perspectives that parenthood has given you. And most importantly, we'll actively design who you want to be moving forward so that your identity isn't just something that happened to you, but something that you get to shape. If you've been craving something tangible, something actionable, this is it. You don't need permission to reclaim yourself. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You just need to take the first step. So let's get into it. Step 1, choose what you want to keep and what you want to let go. One of the biggest mistakes that we make when we're trying to find ourselves again is assuming that our only option is to go back to who we used to be, back to who we were before kids, back to the things that we used to do, back to an identity that felt clearer, more stable, more known. But let me challenge that for a second. What if the goal isn't to go back? What if instead of recovering a past version of yourself, you designed the next version, the 2.0? Because not everything from before parenthood still fits. Some things do, and that's great, but others, they belong to a different chapter. And just like you wouldn't try to fit into clothes from 10 years ago without considering if they still match your style, your body, your needs, you don't have to force yourself into an identity that no longer serves you. So let's make this practical. I want you to take a moment. Yes, right now if you can. If you're driving, just think about it. But if you're home, please grab a piece of paper. Draw 2 columns, one labeled keep and one labeled release. Under keep, write down the qualities, the hobbies, the interests or passions that still feel like you. What still lights you up, even if you haven't made time for it? What do you miss in a way that feels good? Not just nostalgic, but something you'd love to bring back. Under release, write down anything you've been holding on to out of guilt or obligation or even habit. Things that you used to love that don't feel the same way anymore. Goals that you had before kids that no longer fit your values or priorities, but do present a pressure. Identities that you cling onto because they're familiar, not because they actually serve you. And let me give you permission here. Releasing something doesn't mean that it wasn't valuable. It means that you're making space for what fits you now. Think about it this way. If you were packing for a trip, you wouldn't stuff your suitcase with clothes that you don't actually like, right? You would take things that feel good, that fit, that make sense to wear wherever it is that you're going, right? Your identity works the same way. This exercise isn't about loss. It's about conscious choice. Because if you don't choose what stays and what goes, you will keep dragging around an old version of yourself that no longer fits and only presents an obstacle. So take a deep breath. Look at what's on your list. What do you want to keep? What are you ready to release? And once you've got that, we're ready for the next step. Step 2 is to recognize what parenthood has added to your identity. We focus so much on what we have lost in parenthood that we forget to acknowledge what we've gained. And no, I'm not talking about the cliche, your child is the greatest gift type of gain. Of course that's true. But I'm talking about you. How parenthood has shaped you. The depth, the resilience, the new perspectives that you never would have had otherwise. Because parenthood doesn't just take things away. It shapes us into someone new. So let's pause and acknowledge that. Think about this. What new skills, traits, or perspectives has parenthood given you? What do you now understand about love, or patience, resilience, or boundaries that you didn't before? What strengths have emerged in you that weren't as developed before kids? Most of us don't take time to reflect on this because, frankly, we're just busy and exhausted. But I would like for you to sit with this for a second. Maybe before kids you were great at planning but struggled with flexibility. Now, thanks to parenthood, you've mastered the art of adapting to chaos. Maybe you used to be someone who needed external validation to feel worthy. Now, potentially you found a new kind of confidence, not in perfection, but in showing up and doing the best even when no one is watching. Maybe you've developed deep emotional intelligence, not just for your child, but for yourself and for your relationships. So here's an exercise. I want you to think about 3 things that parenthood has given you. Write them down. If you're driving, say them out loud. If you're in a busy space, take a deep breath and let them sink in. Here are a few examples to get you started. I used to be impatient, but now I understand the power of slowing down. I used to avoid conflict, but now I know how to set boundaries with confidence. I never saw myself as a leader, but now I guide and shape a little human's world every day. This matters because when you only focus on what's missing, you forget to see the growth that's happening right now. So as you move forward, don't just think about what you want to reclaim. Think about what you want to carry forward. Because you are not the same person you were before kids, and that's a good thing. Step 3 is to design who you want to be moving forward. Now that you've made space by choosing what you want to keep and what you want to release, and by recognizing what parenthood has added to you, we move to the most important part, who you are becoming. Not who you used to be, not who you think you should be, but the version that feels most aligned in the present and fulfilled right now. Because here's the thing, you can shape your identity on purpose. So let's break this down in 3 essential areas. What kind of parent do you want to be? And no, I'm not talking about the one that society pressures us to be, not the one that your family expects you to be, but the kind of parent that actually feels right to you, that includes you. Are you a playful, spontaneous parent? Or are you a calm, structured one? Do you value one-on-one time or creating experiences for the whole family? Do you want to model independence, creativity, resilience, or something else? Parenting is an ongoing process of trial and evolution. You don't have to get it perfect today. You just have to decide what kind of presence you want to cultivate in your child's life. Secondly, what kind of partner, friend, and human do you want to be? Parenthood reshapes all of our relationships, but we rarely stop to ask, am I showing up in a way that feels aligned? Think about it. Your partner. Are you being intentional about the way that you connect with them? Or are you just coexisting as co-parents? Your friendships. Are you nurturing them? Or are you letting them fade in the background? Your sense of self. Do you still honor your needs, your values, and your personality outside of being a parent? Now, this isn't about adding pressure, but it is about recognizing that your identity doesn't only exist within parenthood. You are still you, a partner, a friend, a person with dreams. And the stronger you feel in these areas, the more present and fulfilled you become as a parent too. 3. What's one small action you can take this week to align with this version of yourself? Not someday, not when life calms down, just one small doable step that you can do this week, integrating this vision into reality. It could be setting up a 15-minute ritual of reconnecting with yourself, like with my Self-Connect calendar that you can find in the link below, or with your partner. It could be texting a friend that you've been meaning to reconnect with, but you've been putting off. It could be taking 10 minutes to journal, to read, or do something just for you. Or maybe it could be planning a moment of joy, something that makes you feel alive. So let's pause for a moment. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. You are not lost. You are not someone to get back to. You are becoming, and you get to choose what that looks like. Parenthood isn't just about giving, it's about expanding into new strengths, new perspectives, a new version of ourselves. A version that is deeply present with our family, but also deeply connected to us. It's easy to think, I'll work on myself when this all calms down. But life as a parent doesn't ever calm down now, does it? It just shifts from one season to the next. So instead of waiting, ask yourself, what is one small action I can take this week to feel more me? What's one way I can honor the person I am becoming? Maybe it's a 5-minute ritual that grounds you, like writing or dancing or drinking your coffee outside in the sun. Maybe it's a conversation with your partner that isn't just about the kids and about things that need to get done, but about reconnecting and relearning each other. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to stop clinging to that old version of yourself and to start embracing the new one. You don't have to change everything today, but you just have to begin. And a quick invitation before we wrap up. If this episode resonated with you and you want to go deeper into this process, I've created a guided journaling exercise to help you walk through these steps in a structured way. You can grab it in my newsletter. Just head to markelikaplani.com/newsletter. And if you love this episode, the best way to support me is to share it on your social media or with a friend and leave me a review. It helps more parents like you to reconnect with themselves and ditch trying to be perfect. This wraps up the Rediscovering Yourself in Parenthood series. Thank you for being here, for listening, for showing up for yourself. I'll see you next week for another conversation that helps you reconnect with yourself, your partner, your children, and your dreams. Until then, take good care. Bye-bye.